The next part of our meeting is the part we're really, really looking forward to. And Tom is going to be the person who's going to do it. And Tom is going to do a mastermind based on real estate. Is the time right? Kama, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here and being a part. I'm excited about the mastermind. For those that are guests, this is your time as well to be involved, actively involved in this particular portion. Today, I'm talking about and discussing, or we'll be masterminding on a subject that I believe is near and dear to me. And it is something that is commonly talked about. One thing people have stated, I've heard someone say, real estate is, we do everything in real estate. We were born in real estate. We work in real estate. We live in real estate. And when we pass away, our bodies go back into real estate. So real estate is real property. It's land. People build upon it. They have homes and stores, hospitals, cemeteries, building under it. There's so much that's happening in our real estate world today. Today, I wanted to discuss with you all about real estate is now the time. And at this time, I'm going to share my screen. And just a little bit about me and what qualifies me is that I've been in real estate for the last 19 years. In 2004, I passed my real estate license test. And in 2005, I actually received my real estate license. And I joined the National Association of Realtors, which has given me the opportunity to be called a realtor. What a lot of people don't know is a realtor is a designation. Not everyone can call themselves a realtor. When you take your real estate license, everyone is a salesperson starting out. Once you join the National Association of Realtors, you become, and you can use the word realtor. Well, as a realtor, we sign and we agree to a code of ethics. Our mission statement or motto is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. They call that the golden rule, but it's actually a scripture that they got out of the Bible. They call it the golden rule as well. But we have to treat people the way that we want to be treated. And one thing I will say is that in the last few years, unfortunately, I've seen a lot of things happen in our real estate industry, a lot of changes that's happening just in our industry and people, mindsets, all types of things. And I believe that people, even in my industry, is getting away from what we do, which is we problem solve. We are not glorified door openers. We are not people that just put signs in your yard and walk away. We help you solve your problem. We help you find and help you with your need, whatever your need is in real estate. And we are the ones that we have to deal with a lot. I tell you all, we're like almost like with cosmetologists or barbers. We're the therapists. We're the people that people come to get counseling. I had a situation where a couple was going to purchase a property and literally they had decided that they wanted to separate, but they were going to continue on with the property. I ended up becoming the marriage counselor and helping that client. And that was about 6 or 7 years ago. And they ended up back together. They stayed together and they were able to successfully close a deal. So we're not just out there pushing paper or just out there doing nothing. We are out there trying to help people make their real estate dreams a reality. In 2019, I received my broker's license. It was something that I long wanted to do. From the time I was taking my real estate license and discovered that I could not just go in as a real estate broker because at the time I didn't have the qualifications, it was something that was heavy on my heart. And finally, after I originally started officially in 2009, going after what I needed, going after the broker's license. And in 2019, I achieved my goal. And in 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, when the world was shut down, I did something that most people wouldn't do. I opened my doors And I did it because there was something in me. And you talk about entrepreneurship. One thing I know about entrepreneurs is that there's not too much that can hold us down. When we are focused on a goal, when we have something before us, when we are commission only, we have to keep pushing and keep moving until whatever it is that we're trying to reach happens, and we keep going and going and going. But that's just a little bit about me in the real estate industry as far as my background goes. But leadership, I always say I'm kind of qualified to talk about this topic because I'm very actively involved in the real estate industry. I'm the past president of our local association, the Inland Valleys Association of Realtors, where I presided over 5,000 agents. Back in 2022, I have gone through the National Association of Realtors Leadership Academy, which is not an easy task, but leadership is in my heart. And I went through that in 2022. I was in the Leadership Academy for the Women's Council of Realtors in 2021. I'm a director for our state association, the California Association of Realtors, as well as a director for the National Association of Realtors. And I tell you all that is because the reason I tell you that is because it's important for me as a real estate broker and as a realtor to keep my ears and my eyes out on what's happening in our real estate market. I get the questions, is now the time? What am I supposed to do? Am I ready? How do I get myself ready? I get all of those questions. So today we are going to talk about, is now the time for real estate? Now, before I get started, I wanted to pose a question to everyone out there. I wanted to know, what are you all hearing about the real estate market? Now, you know we can't be quiet on this mastermind. Thank you, Andrew.
Um, I hear, and I could be wrong, that it's a lucrative field. That's honestly all I know, but
Okay,
that it's also in demand too, if that makes sense.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll tell you this, Andrew, it can be lucrative. I teach real estate courses at the college, and one of my first questions to the students is always, why did you get into real estate? And most people got into real estate because of how lucrative that real estate is, or probably one of my biggest pet peeves, because people glorify real estate, is that we're like Selling Sunset. For those that watch or have seen Selling Sunset or Selling OC, let me tell you guys something. We don't wear prom dresses and stilettos to show property, okay? I wear flats because when you're walking around a property that might be half an acre, a full acre, or a big property, you are not trying to walk around and break your ankle because you're trying to get the next sale. We got to roll up our sleeves sometimes. I've been through quite a bit. I've had to wear my Uggs one day. I was helping a client buy a property, and we were in the dirt, so I had to make sure that I had on my beat up boots, so that way my nice shoes won't get messed up. But is it lucrative? Absolutely, absolutely. But is it the other thing? What was it that you stated? You said lucrative and
It's in demand.
in demand. It is in
Yeah.
demand, absolutely. And it's in demand because people believe that it's lucrative. Anybody else? What else do you know about the real estate market, and what do you hear about real estate? Yes, Ross.
Yes, real estate is about buying and selling. And
Okay.
I don't know which one is scarier. When you want to sell your home, you think, oh, yeah, you're going to get a flood of people and they're going to want to buy your property. But when you're trying to sell, it could be difficult because maybe the market is, um, it's at a standstill or it's below. You might not get the value that you were expecting. So I'm sure you're going to cover it, but that's what real estate is to me. It's about buying and selling property.
Awesome. Awesome. Charles, and then April.
Kamala, I'm going to be kind of the ringer in answering that question for you,
Mhm.
because my son David has a successful business and being a real estate coach. And up until October of last year, I'd held a real estate license for the last 20 years. So I'm very in tune with the market
Mhm.
or the business. The first thing I want to comment or compliment you on is saying realtor. because so many people at so many levels in our business say realtor.
Realtor. We're not realtors or realtors. We're realtors. Yes.
Realtors. The business can be very well, if you're willing to look at it as a full-time business. All too often people jump in because they're enticed to get involved with the business based on the potential money, and not telling people it's a full-time, ever-changing business.
Awesome.
Back to you, Tom.
Thank you so much. April.
Thank you so much for that, Charles. And for Kama, one of the things that I've seen, and I guess an understanding I don't necessarily have, is that it seems to be a shift across states right now when it comes to buying and selling. The theory is everyone's leaving California, but I can't believe that that's true. I do have a friend and her husband who actually moved back from Texas back to California. So I feel like there's a lot more to understand in terms of cross movement, cross county, but there seems to be a huge shift in demand. And so that's definitely something that I see and would love to better understand. Because
Absolutely.
I don't believe I believe it could be a myth that everything's better in Texas or Georgia. I feel like there's some hidden things that we may not understand that would prompt some folks, like I said, to move back to California. And I think that understanding is something that hopefully we can highlight here or in a future session.
Well, I'll tell you what's not better in Georgia and what's not better in Texas, the weather. So prices may be, but the weather's not. Angelique.
You know, it's kind of crazy over here in the San Francisco Bay Area. If I wasn't taking care of my mother right now, who's living with me, who has dementia, I would not be living here. It is so expensive. When I think about real estate, I think about owning your home and then commercial, you know, investing in real estate. I think what I've heard with people selling their homes in San Francisco is that there's the inventory, that there's not enough. So usually when houses are for sale in the San Francisco Bay Area, they go fast. There's like multiple offers. I'm so glad I'm not in the market for buying a house right now. And it's just, so I hear that it's a frenzy a little bit. And then I do know that there's quite a few people that are investing outside of California, investment properties like in Iowa and other places. I'm not a real estate investor right now. We'll just put it that way for right now. I'm just trying to make ends meet with my mom's heavy healthcare costs right now. But that's what I know. And thank you. This is a fascinating topic, and congratulations with everything that you've, you know, all the great things that you're doing.
Thank you so much. And thank you for that. And I will say that I think everyone just about has touched on the topics that we're going to go through and even talk through. I don't know if you all heard recently, when I say recently, within the last 24 to 48 hours, it was just stated that in the state of California, our median home price has now hit over $900,000. That blows my mind. I have been in different parts of or different segments of real estate in the last 19 years. And one of the biggest questions that I get is now the time? Is now the time to buy? Is now the time to sell? Is now the time to invest? Should I just sit back and rent? And I'll just tell you this is how I look at renting. Renting is, and someone posed this to me a long time ago, and I've been saying it ever since. Renting is paying 100% interest into a property. You get nothing back. Something to think about. When I hear people say it's too hard to do this or this is impossible, I believe in the beginning, I mentioned that we as realtors, we are problem solvers. Now, I wish everybody felt that way. Some people are in it for the money. Some people are in it for the status. And people like me, we're in it to help people make their real estate dreams a reality. So today we're going to go and break down and talk about these three areas. Once again, selling, buying, and investing. How many of you all here, or is there anyone here that has purchased a home since or between 2020 and 2022? Either purchased or sold a property? No one? Okay. Well, in 2020 was probably one of the most memorable years in anybody's life in the nation, in the world, due to the pandemic. And I remember during this time, I was teaching a class and I had a student who said, I'm in the market to purchase a property, but now I'm going to wait because I know what's going to happen. There's going to be a crash. The market is about to crash. And I remember telling her this because one thing I find is that when you are in business for yourself, so I don't care if you're selling real estate or you're selling toilet paper, it doesn't matter. You need to understand the business that you're in. You need to read. You can read whether it's white papers or books or getting close to the economists. I love listening to economists and really understand your business. It'll help you get further in your own personal business as an entrepreneur. Well, in real estate, one thing that I knew that we were not headed for a crash. The reason being is because people were not putting their homes up for sale. People started getting scared and they began to pull back. But I still felt like there's something that's going to happen where this market is going to experience a shift. We were almost at a standstill for a little while, just for a small moment, because we didn't know what to do. And when I say we, just people in the industry, our consumers, those that wanted to potentially put their house up for sale. But what happened? Interest rates began to literally plummet. Pre-pandemic, we were at averaging about 6.1% when it came to interest rates. During the pandemic, interest rates became as low as, for a 15-year mortgage, 1.75%-ish, and for a 30-year fixed, about a 2.75%-ish, somewhere in that vicinity, which allowed more buyers to have more purchasing power when it came to purchasing a home. So what did that do? That created a frenzy. And during that time, the prices were just climbing. I mean, when I tell you, I've stood in lines to look at property. I've made offers on properties that were up for sale. And there were literally over 100 offers, knowing that my client didn't even have a chance at this property. It was crazy. It was crazy. And in May of 2022, everything came to a halt. Our interest rates that we had seen at 2.75%, 3% were now in the 6%. And they were sticker shocked. People fell out of escrow. Sellers were like, what do I do? They didn't get as much for their home when people were overbidding $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 or more on a property, paying cash for property. Things shifted. So now, as I fast forward, people are saying, what is going on with the market? So let's talk about selling. Selling in today's market. Should I stay or should I go? Now, this is to those that are my homeowners, if there are any homeowners on the call. If there's not, then let's talk to those that may have heard of something in the industry. If you had a choice today to sell your property, would you or would you not? And tell us why. Let's talk about it. Deborah.
I've been in my home over 30 years. I contemplated it about 15, 20 years ago, but now I would not. Don't have a mortgage anymore, and that's a major milestone for my husband and I. This is our second home, and I would not. I often considered it, but the thought of moving and the thought of that additional payment at my age, at our ages, no, I would not. Because of no mortgage, my age, that's why I would not consider it. Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else? Any homeowners? Would you consider selling in today's market? Or would you stay?
So
Yes.
it's still, I feel like I'm in this interesting holding period because my mom has moved in with me. So it's me and my husband, my mom, my 2 cats, and I have caregivers that help me. And this is the home that my mom is going to pass in. You know, I've made the choice. She's not going to a nursing home. She's going to be in this home. So
Yes.
it's a very emotional decision. And as time goes on, I mean, it's very difficult for me to afford this home. So when she does pass, uh, I will definitely be moving, probably outside of California. So I'm in kind of like a holding period right now, but it's very emotional for me. Thanks for the
Very
question.
emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made a very good point, because when we are just, and it kind of goes with what Deborah was talking about, she's been in the home for 30 years, it's paid off. And one thing about a house, it becomes a home, that place that you have parties in, you reside in, you relax in. This is considered, I always say my home is my safe haven. This is where I can come and get my peace. I can shut out the world when it comes to having a home. We talk about when owning a home, we have what you call our bundle of rights. And one of them is the right of enjoyment. And we get to enjoy this thing and do whatever we want to do with our property. So yeah, having a home, absolutely. It's emotional. Selling a home is emotional. Let's start there, especially when you have some type of attachment. But thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And memories are created in homes. Anyone else? Frankie.
I oh
Sorry, we'll take Frankie and then Andrew.
Okay, yes, my grandson and I bought a home about 6, 7 years ago. I just preface this, I grew up in the Air Force, so I moved, like I went to 14 different schools. My husband and I stayed put for quite a while, but we had different homes along the way. But at 79 years old, I imagine that we'll keep this for now. My grandson just moved to Idaho, took all my great grandbabies with him. And there is a place there for me if I want to go. My family doesn't want me on my own, and I really don't want me on my own either. It's really nice to have family that is there to back you up.
Absolutely.
But I'm understanding that because of interest rates and what have you, now my client that I do bookkeeping for, he just bought a condo in South Carolina, I believe it is, that he uses as a rental, and then he uses it for vacation as he goes. And he has one in Mammoth. So that's an option too. If we did move, we would probably keep this as a rental. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yes. And that's the beauty of real estate. It's the diversity in it. You can sell it. I always say try to find the option to rent it out and become an investor, immediate investor. And now you are having someone potentially help you pay your mortgage if you have one. You have potential income property. I don't care if it's $50 a month, you have income, potential tax write-offs. There's all types of things, and we'll get into investing a little bit more shortly. But yes, yes, yes. And
yes. So even though I'm not a homeowner, I think it's probably I would probably I wouldn't sell my house. I would definitely use it as a rental, to invest. Because the prices of today are very high, so I don't see any reason to sell, but again, I have no idea, so based off what I've heard. Thank you.
thank you for sharing that. And that's what we're here to talk about. What do I do? Do I sell? Should I stay? What do I do? So in today's market, Roz, she hit the nail on the head. We are in an ever-changing market, because if someone decides to sell, where do they go? Will it make sense to them with the interest rates? those are factors that people have to keep in their mind when they're deciding what to do about their property. And when you sit down with the proper real estate professional, they're not going to be the first one to tell you to sell your property. They're going to talk to you about options to make sure that this is the choice that you want to make, and make sure that it's a comfortable choice for you. Real estate is a place that you build generational wealth. And I'll just talk from my particular race. In the Black families, this was taken from us years ago, and people are now trying to catch up, if possible, through real estate, because it's the greatest way to build wealth. So it's those questions that you have to have with a realtor, a licensed professional, to make sure that you are making the right decision. I'm always saying, hold on to it and let's go find you something else. All right. Next, let's go into purchasing. Oh my gosh. Buyers. Has anybody thought about buying a home? Anybody? Nope. Homeowners are like, nope, I'm not going anywhere. Anybody had a thought? I think, Angelique, you kind of touched on it about, how things are in the market and how you talked about that inventory. We'll talk about that shortly. It's a tough market, right? Andrew, you decided to, you raised your hand about purchasing, correct?
I mean, even though I don't have it, I don't really have the money to, I was thinking about how to do it, because I don't understand that part of real estate investing. So I'm just curious as to how.
So we're actually going to be talking about real estate investing. That's going to be the last part of this, because there are options there as well. We'll talk about, if you can't purchase, what else can you do? Can you purchase maybe not your personal property, but can you invest into your own? So we'll be talking about that. So as I had mentioned, let's kind of go back in 2008, 2009. Do you guys know what happened back then with the real estate market? What happened?
The market crashed.
There we go. The market crashed.
Yes.
If people don't know anything, do you know anything or familiar with anything with that, Deborah?
It was really intense for those that had invested and used their 401k, their pensions. I knew of a friend that she quit her job instead of retiring. She took her money, she invested, and it was devastating.
Yeah.
And there were people that were attempting suicide because it was a lot.
Yes. In 1929, we dealt with the Great Depression. In 2008, 2009, we dealt with a recession. And it was very similar. The reason why we weren't in a depression was because it only really affected the real estate market. When the Great Depression happened, I mean, it was the crash of the stock market. People lost everything, and they did. They were taking their lives. People didn't know where to go. People became homeless. It was just a time that we didn't want to see. And the recession was very, very similar in the sense that people lost everything. I have people today that said they lost their house in 2008 and probably would never, ever buy again, or they didn't know they had the option to do so. There's a lot of fear out there, especially in underserved communities, of purchasing a home due to the fact that that recession really shifted mindsets when it came to purchasing. But just like anything in life, the things that we've gone through, we have been able to get through. And being able to purchase, I believe it is a mindset. A lot of times people are waiting. I hear it all the time. I'm waiting for the market to crash. Does anybody here want to share if anybody knows anybody that's even thinking about purchasing a home and they may have a thought of what that person has said as to why they won't purchase or why they are considering purchasing? Anybody? Sometimes just in talking with friends or family members, sometimes people are like, oh, I want to purchase a house, but no one.
Yeah, I was talking to a
Yes.
friend recently, and she said that the opportunity cost that she'd rather put her investments or put her money in other investments other than owning real estate. And she wants to have the freedom to travel and not be stuck to a mortgage.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what she told me.
Okay. That's very interesting. Very interesting thought. Anyone else?
I had a coworker that when her young adults wanted to stay in the house that she and her ex-husband owned, well, she owned it. She was getting remarried and they wanted to buy the home, but their credit, they weren't able to do that. So she let them pay all the utilities, everything that needed for them to build up their credit, but was showing them how to be able to, if they when it came to the time to purchase a home. She left it in her name, but she wanted her young adults her brother and sister, to be able to know what it meant before they took that leap to put things in their name and lose a home.
Yes. And we're in a market right now where people, if someone loses their home, it's only because maybe they may have lost a job. The difference back in 2008, 2009 is that we have adjustable loans where people didn't know what their payment was going to be because they had what you call like a 2-1 or a 3-1 where their interest rate will be fixed for 2 years or 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and they'll have a low interest rate, and then the interest rate will go up based on the index of the market, where the market lands. So if the market was at 6%, they might adjust maybe an extra percentage or two, depending on where they stood. So a lot of people lost their home because of that. Now today, and I tell people just for clarity, we have something that only sellers can do. It's called a 2-1 buy down. This gives options for buyers to purchase a property. The 2-1 buy down basically says that the seller can give a credit where the buyer will pay a lower rate for the first 2 years. Let's just say if interest rates are at about 7% today, they may pay 5% 1 year, 6% the next year, but they know that they're going to pay at 7% and they know exactly what their payment is. On top of that, the lender will qualify them based on today's mortgage. So no one is going in blindly to say, I had no clue, I didn't know. Educating is super important. And in my office, I own my brokerage, it's called CMB Realty Services. In my office, our mission statement is empower, inspire, educate. That's what we do. We want to empower those that are even thinking about doing something, purchasing real estate, selling real estate, or investing into real estate. We want to empower and inspire them to do so. But we're going to do that all through education. And we're going to stay educated and know the facts, because a lot of times people go by what they hear in the news. But purchasing a home today can be tough. Can be. Interest rates are a little high. But what I'm telling people now is, let's rethink the possibilities. Let's stop thinking about the interest rate. Let's think about talking to a lender to find out, what is my monthly payment? I don't care about the interest rate, because the interest rate today, if you don't get in at 7% or 6.5%, wherever rates are, you may wait another year or two and get in at 9%. Now your purchasing power has just dropped. That $500,000 home you wanted to get today now turns into a $350,000 home in a few years, and your real estate dreams are now not even possible. So it's something that people have to think about when they're thinking about purchasing a home. So don't wait for the market to crash, because we don't know when that's going to happen, if it's going to happen. With inventories being as low as it is, housing inventory, we have this supply and demand issue. There's not enough supply for the demand that's in the market. However, with the interest rates and the mindset of people don't know what they should do, and homes are now staying on the market just a little bit longer. But take that opportunity now in order to do so. I just put up a couple of pros and cons when it comes to home ownership. The pro is that's yours. It belongs to you. You have, like I said, the bundle of rights. You have the right to enjoy. You have the right to use it in the way you want to. If you want to rent it, you have a right to sell it. You have all of these different rights that you have to your property that you can enjoy. You can build equity. Where do you build equity? The way you build it in real estate. Will it fall? It might. But one thing I know about real estate, it goes up at some point in time, and you can build generational wealth with it. Now, people may say the cons may be interest rate affordability, and again, not enough housing, but open up the mindset to think, I may not be able to live in Los Angeles where their median home price is over $1 million, but maybe I can move to Riverside County where our median home prices are over 500,000. Maybe that will make a little bit more sense. So we kind of take the good with the bad, we kind of put it together, and we find the opportunities for it. Okay. Last part. And you know what? I'm going to do a quick stop share, because one thing I love about Zoom is that when you see things that doesn't make you happy on your slides, you can do a quick adjustment. Who in here has decided or thought about investing into real estate? I know Andrew was one person. All right, April. All right, are there any real estate investors on our call today? And I'm going to ask you real quick because I'm trying to get back to my slide. Let me share my screen again. My apologies. So Frankie, you have your hand up. Are you a real estate investor?
No, but I did want to mention, I talked about my grandson who actually was a law enforcement officer in Southgate.
Okay.
And his third child was born. He took parental leave. They went to Idaho, bought 10 acres. He now has his real estate license, and he does real estate photography up there as well as other things. He just launched a clothing line. And so I have that story to tell anyway, that he just decided to live his dream. And he had been a first responder, and he actually does scholarships now for a jiu-jitsu company for first responders. But that's that was a big move for him, and so he's doing real estate invest. We as a family did real estate investing in Idaho, so it's kind of a family property, and we have property in Arizona. So the family is still investing.
Okay. Investing is lucrative. Now, you talk about being lucrative, Andrew. Investing is very, very lucrative. Anybody else in real estate, any type of real estate investing? Well, this part is probably one of the most near and dear to my heart. The reason being is because just in August of 2023, my son and I'm a homeowner. My son is not. My son is 26 years old. We invested into our first set of homes in Peoria, Illinois. California was out of our reach. We found opportunity through another state, another avenue to get started in real estate investing. We live in this whole wide world, right? Where people are literally investing not only in California, in the nation, they're also investing internationally. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine and I, Marcus, we are hosting a real estate investment event on June 15th, if anyone is interested. And we are teaching people and talking to people about investing. He and his friends got together and did group investing, and they bought a property in another country. They also bought property in another state. So it is possible to invest in the property and not even own property. So we have three options here. You have a fix and flip. We see that on HGTV, which is not my favorite channel because they glorify my business. And I tell people I wish I could go and show 3 homes, put it under contract, and close a deal with every single person I work with. That would be best case scenario. It just doesn't happen that way. The real deal is we're in the midst of a flip right now, where we have the city that has come in and stopped us, and we've had fines, and we've had all types of things. I've been to court, all kind of things have been happening. But I'll tell you, the end result is what's lucrative. You have the option of buying and holding, where you can buy a property and rent it out. We kind of discussed of someone buying, potentially renting out their property instead of just selling it, or you can do what you call wholesale. People literally will put a house, get a home. I'm going to use Andrew as an example. Andrew can go and find a property, put it under contract, have a contract between the buyer and seller. I'm sorry, between himself and the seller. He can take that contract and sell it to April, and he can earn $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, depending on the equity, by just taking that contract, selling it to an end buyer, an investor that might want to buy and hold or invest. And he just made $10,000 or $5,000 and did not have to do too much of anything with no money out of his pocket. So real estate investing is something that is out there that allows people to build wealth as they're trying to purchase their first home, as they're trying to build generational wealth. So I know my time is getting away from me, but I did want to pose a question for those of you that have may have thought about investing into a home. What has held you back? Yes, Andrew.
I suppose for me, it would be the money because I don't really have enough money to maybe purchase a home or to invest in a home, if that makes any sense.
Yes, makes all the sense in the world. The main reason why people do not invest, they don't invest because they say they don't have the money. For transparency, in 2023, when my son and I bought this home, I did not have the money. My son had the money, and he paid cash for these properties that we purchased. So it's all about networking. There are people out there that will give you the cash to do what you need to do, and they'll earn interest on it to help you make your real estate investing dreams a reality. So with that said, for everyone that's been listening, I want to encourage you to think about something. When it comes to real estate, you have to consider if the time is now for you. But don't allow any barriers to get in your way. Don't allow someone to tell you that it's not the time. Don't allow someone to hinder you, but talk to someone who can help you work out your questions, your issues. Although I'm in California, I can personally help you in any state, in any area. And if I can't, there's someone that I can link you with to be able to do so. So we're going to take out all of the excuses. We're going to make sure that we make results, and we're going to talk to the professional to help us take our real estate thoughts to a different level. Thank you all so much for participating, and I'll hand this back over to our Toastmaster.